Everyone is looking for God realization. And you go here and there, look for big pilgrimage centers, and by the time you go there, God is not there. He's busy somewhere else. But if you allow the mind to become purified, mind to come to understand, it is not going after where God is. God is everywhere. So begin with discovering this. Your own puja room is Kashi, Benares, Badri Kedar, Himalayas. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagan Sadrisham Tattvamasyaadi Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namam. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha, Sthiti Prakarana. This is the last section, section 62. Focuses on the qualities that an aspirant must develop. The other way, the qualities that adorn an aspirant. When you go to any party, you adorn yourself. But going to a party for attaining liberation, now your adornment is a little different. It's much better. Not just physical. And that's simple but profound matter. Your real personality is not physical body. Your personality is spiritual. Deha buddhyatu dasoham. On the point of your body, you are a channel, an instrument in divine hand. You are a slave, God is the master. Jiva buddhyatu danshaka. The point of view of soul, you are a ray, and God is like the sun. From essential point of view, thou art that, you are that. There is no difference. These points are behind all these qualities that you develop. Sage Vasistha continues, as long as the body exists, you must externally continue to perform your duties in accordance with the scriptures and internally continue to remove the impressions of attachment and hatred. Spiritual project is a continuous project. There is no retirement. Worldly retirement is just nothing. That type of retirement you don't have in the spiritual movement. But that will be possible if you become sensitive to the purpose of your life, sensitive to your resources, If you are too identified with body, then the day you see your face doesn't look like the way you want it. You feel miserable. Simple matter, what I'm going to say. Everyone, all human beings, if they are really going to live their life wisely, a proper channelization of energy must start from the very beginning of life. For the very beginning of life, early age, children stage, what should you be directing your attention to? Of course, in a spiritual family, even in the cradle, you are told, Shuddhosi, Buddhosi, Niranjanosi. The spiritual movement starts even in the mother's womb, prenatal education. And that education must continue at every stage. In a gross way of saying, prepare yourself for old age and death. Start early. If you don't start early, and suddenly you begin to face aging, your mind is not ready for it. So now the whole process is a kind of terrorizing experience internal. So instead of having that terrorized movement, now develop a mesmerized. That's a profound art. And that's the purpose of life. Your aging should not stop your understanding. Your understanding becomes more youthened and energetic as your body begins to prepare for departing. Because ultimately it has to depart. So as long as body exists, you must externally continue to perform your duties. As long as your body is there, as long as you can handle certain activities, if it is not too much of a sport activity, can handle the activity of bringing children around, sharing your experience, making them laugh by telling some parables, and sharing spiritual knowledge with a sportive art. That's what the sages have done through all those stories of the scriptures. And all this I'm saying very quickly, but you must realize it's an ideal to work for all humanity, all over the world. Even from a physical point of view, as you begin to age, do not develop in your mind a certain concept that now since I'm after 60, I should be more on the chair. So do not begin to age internally, even when your body has not aged. In other words, according to practical reality, continue to maintain your physical body, look after its health, look into all the modern progress in regarding good health, And leave no stone unturned in maintaining your healthy body, healthy nervous system. While you are doing that, do not develop the idea, well, Brahman and all these truths. Why should I work for the body? There is no contradiction. In order to realize I am Brahman, your mind should not stay caught with your physical body. And based on physical body, your whole world begins to cramp. So, continue. And according to the state of your body, there is a time when your physical body will not be effective. But as long as your mind is effective, continue with your mind. And sometimes you'll be surprised. People who are not doing so much physically, what they do with their mind is so powerful. Therefore, all the ancient inspiration comes from sages who have been just still. Coming back to the practical, continue to perform your duties in accordance, but duties must be performed in accordance with scriptures, which means turn your duties into karma yoga. Whatever duty you do to your body, you are doing your duty. You are worshipping God. Deho devalayo prokto. Your body is the temple of God. And you must attend to it for attaining enlightenment. Not all type of duties that you have. Sometimes certain duties may seem like trifles. But all duties are acts of adoring God. It's a profound ideal. How much you get it, that's a different matter. But even if you get it a spoonful, your day will become bright. If that is adopted, that type of attitude, and you turn action into karma yoga, you turn your sentiments, feelings into bhakti yoga. Through your actions, you are trying to express your love for others. But love is not just for others around you, God in all names and forms. So push God into every situation. And your will, sankalpa, that must be in tune with God's will. And that's the whole path of jnana yoga. Allowing the mind not to be colored by miseries of the world. Allowing your mind to have a subtle point that God's will is operating through your mind. And as, again, to be in tune with God's will, your mind must undergo a change. It should be free of malas, gross impurities. It should be free from distractions. And for that purpose, there is the whole Raja Yoga, practice of dhyana, meditation. And that must continue day by day. In dhyana movement, you begin with japa, then allow your mind to practice concentration, meditation, samadhi, learn the art of possessing a mind that enables you to understand that you are not the body. Even the body idea is within your mind. So mind becomes so important that your attention to body or involvement with body does not take away all your mental qualities. Mind continues to have profound expansion. And that mind you dedicate to smriti, smaran of God. Through that mind you are constantly bringing awareness of God's presence. And your intellect that comes to the climax. The intellect that brings insight into things in your practical daily life. And intellect that allows you to learn various lessons. That intellect, when purified, becomes intuitional intellect. How to bring that stage of your understanding. If it is in the intellectual stage, the more you intellectually explore, the more you get stressed. Because you are given everything in a quantitative way. How many lives you must live through in order to be an aspirant, and so forth. How many bad karmas you have done, and how much of your good work destroys how many karmas. So now you have a whole mathematics before you. But when the intellect becomes highly purified, that's the path of jnana. All these four paths must blend in your daily life. Karma into karma yoga. Feelings, sentiments into bhakti yoga. Mental willing into jnana yoga. And the urge to understand into jnana yoga. Who am I? All these are four aspects of the same movement. So when we say yoga, it means all this. But since people get so easily confused, so we use integral yoga. And internally continue to remove the impressions of attachment and hatred, raga, dvesha. And by that, called upadakshana, only two things have been mentioned, but it relates to all the five kleshas: ignorance, egoism, attachment, hatred, fear of death. Think of your 5 fingers. And these 5 are constantly dumping garbage over your mind. They continue to restrict your mind that has amazing capacity to lead you to liberation. That mind and its power is dipped by these 5 kleshas and perverted. The same mind and its energy, instead of attaining liberation, becomes involved in how to create moderation. One moderation is not enough. You want more moderation. Follow the lofty examples of those who attained self-realization. Now, the examples to follow are of those personalities who have become really successful. And successful people are those who are saints and sages who have attained liberation. Again, from practical point of view, liberated people don't have any special looks. And therefore, you're recognizing the liberated personalities depends upon your being a spiritual aspirant. The more integrated you are, the more sincere you are, the more you will be attracted to those who are exemplary in the pursuit of that virtue. If you like music, you will be attracted to those who have inspiring musical skill. And if there is a sincere movement in divine plan, you are drawn to your ideal. The divine plan matches up everything. But those who pretend to be spiritual aspirants, being more interested in selfish rather than spiritual attainments, are like jackals of the forest. They fill the atmosphere with their empty howlings. Here again, say Yoga Vasistha is not talking about all humanity. Yoga Vasistha has chosen only a segment of humanity, those who consider themselves spiritual aspirants. They are few in number, but yet there are spiritual aspirants. But what's the difficulty with these spiritual aspirants? Now, come to the majority of spiritual aspirants. They are not qualified, they are not first-class aspirants, but they are seekers. Their interest in attaining enlightenment is based upon their ego's visualization or their ego's understanding. The scriptures say you will gain immortality. A dull-witted aspirant who draws from it, oh, now I can live for 1,000 years. So I will not miss a tea or coffee for a single day. So those spiritual seekers, they find their mind working with countless problems. And they are under terrible stress. And that state of mind, in other words, kid stage of spiritual movement, kiddish stage, is filled with howlings of jackals. Your mind looks at everything in a negative way, comes back and howls. Why is that person doing so negative things? But you are also doing negative things. You don't look at it. What's happening to the world? Kali Yuga is coming. And if Kali Yuga doesn't come, the Earth planet has its own period of time. Now what will happen? So let's do more devotion. Let's preach bhakti, devotion, or some, but whatever you are doing, Your mental mind is moving in a wild way, and you are howling for every little thing. Looking at the whole spiritual process as a project of fulfilling your different desires. But to your mind, those desires are magnanimous desires. You want people to be happy, beginning with your own relatives. But if you follow the right process, you do not find an atmosphere of howling jackals. Rather, from your heart there emerges a strength of roar of lion. The world presents like howling things, but you look at them with a lion type of mind. With God within you, movement towards God, it should not be considered something very ordinary. God is the reality of the entire universe. So, you begin to develop an inner strength, which is dramatized in Ramayana. Angada goes to Ravana with the message that return Sita to Rama and Rama will not fight with him. But Ravana wouldn't listen. Ravana is ignorance. Then Angada gives them a big challenge, plants his foot, says, if you can shake this foot, Rama will go away without claiming Sita. And you see the storyline, people go after shaking the foot of Angada. No one is able to shake. But this is not a story. This is something to be pointing out to your own inner potentiality. If your faith has become dynamic, you develop that type of strength that Angada had in Ramayana. So no matter what, your goal is liberation. And it cannot be shaken from it. O Rama, take recourse to self-effort in order to free the intellect of the impurities of the mind. That's your focus must be on gaining nirmal man. Kabira man nirmal bhayo jaise ganga neer. Paache lage hari firai kabir kabir. Everyone is looking for God realization. And you go here and there, look for big pilgrimage centers. And by the time you go there, God is not there. He's busy somewhere else. But if you allow the mind to become purified, mind to come to understand, it is not going after where God is. God is everywhere. So begin with discovering this. Your own puja room is Kashi, Benares, Badri Kedar, Himalayas. It is the most sacred place in the whole universe. And go one step further. Your heart. God abides in your very heart. But in order to become fully aware that God is everywhere. There are two ways to understand. First, if you develop that mental attitude that God, you don't have to go after looking for God. What will happen? The more your mind turns towards God, you become involved in sublimating your negative qualities. Anger, the more you are aware of God's presence, and God works for everything. You don't allow anger and hate and fear dominate your mind. They will be there, but they shouldn't dominate your mind. They should create a little shimmer, but that's okay. But not dominate. If they don't dominate, then you are gaining nirmal, purification of your mind. As mind is getting purified, the question of finding God, going somewhere, that question doesn't arise. Just as a cow that is sinking in a marsh is saved with effort and diligence, in the same way the intellect must be saved from the illusions of the mind through effort. It's allegorical writing. Your higher self is nourished by Upanishadic wisdom. Upanishadic wisdom is a source of milk. That higher self is like the cow sucking the milk of the Upanishads. Now that cow has fallen into muddy area, and your project is to lift the cow. That cow is your intellect, which should have had the nourishment from the Upanishadic wisdom. Instead, it is getting nourishment from the demoniac sources, from the demons. So, save your intellect from this predicament. Intellect makes your life interesting. But wrong intellect, keeping your life involved in a wrong way of exploring the world, that acts in a different way. The cow of intellect goes being dumped more and more in mud. Same intellect, give a positive understanding, allow a different field, intellect that begins to draw insight from Upanishadic wisdom, insight from the revelations of sages and saints. That intellect gains immense nourishment. So, saving your intellect from being dumped into mud, that should be your great project in your life. When the mind is purified, it develops the ability of reflecting any object in itself and becoming one with it. This is the most advanced stage of mind. The quality is called samapatti, to give you a simple illustration. When you meditate on any object, or you have a plan to meditate on Shiva, Rama, Krishna, but you don't succeed. In the practice of meditation, Your mind must be ready to meditate upon any object that you have chosen to meditate upon. If you are meditating on a flower, the mind should become nothing but the flower. How profoundly the mind can envision the object of your meditation. If it is very profound, because samapatti, mind has no difficulty. A mirror has no difficulty in bringing your image right within itself. Similarly, mind acts like a mirror, and objects reflect completely in the mind. As long as you are meditating, the whole mind is experiencing the object. The object moves away and the mind is not missing anything. If you don't have that samapatti state, then what happens? You bring to mind anything, your difficulty in bringing it, your difficulty in taking it away from it, and your difficulty in handling the impressions. But that's how different stages. In the early stage, you have all these problems. When the mind is highly purified, and ego is not obstructive. Ego acts like something opaque before your vision, or something that refracts your vision. As you advance, ego is there, but it's transparent. It is not refracting your vision, not obstructing your vision. Rather, allowing the vision to be operative. That state is called samapatti. When the mind is purified, it develops the ability of reflecting any object in itself and becoming one with it. When you attain this state of purification by your self-effort, there will be nothing in this world, nor in the heavens, that you cannot acquire or accomplish. Acquire and accomplish has to be understood in a proper way. What you have to acquire is spiritual enlightenment. What you have to accomplish is a revelation, I am Brahman. Anything else that you acquire is in the realm of Maya. So real accomplishment doesn't relate to your worldly success. And a worldly success is not success if it inflates your ego. Whoever is endowed with brahmacharya, patience, valor, and dispassion, for him nothing is impossible of attainment. These are the profound qualities that become possible if we are practicing integral yoga. The quality of brahmacharya, to the masses it relates sex sublimation, sex control. But real brahmacharya means that type of conduct that leads you to Brahman. And leading you to Brahman is a revelation. I am Brahman. I am not the body, so I am not dependent on bodily pleasures. I am not the mind. I am not the intellect. I am not the ego. I am all that. Aham Brahma. There are countless reflected suns, and each reflected sun has a world around it. But behind all reflected suns, there is only one sun. Countless souls operating in a world, and a world like a long dream. Everything that you do is not the reality. You don't know yourself, you don't know the world, nor you don't really know what's good for you. So, stepping out of all this and following Brahman, the greatest truth, that's brahmacharya. Any discipline you practice, ultimately they are meant for promoting brahmacharya in every individual. Awareness, I am not the body, I am not the mind. Aham Brahmas. Next quality, paciencia, patience. Next quality, valor. Valor, Sanskrit term, virya. Inner strength. It's like sports people, if they are prepared for their sport and they are very confident, even though they face big challenging situations, they become more happy because they are being led by their internal heroic strength, valor. So just like within sport, valor is a quality. Now, from profound point of view, you don't have to be a sports person. A valor has to develop in your life while facing different challenges that come day by day. Sometimes challenges come with shouts and all that. Sometimes with whispers. Sometimes it radiates from your own heart. Face challenges all the time. But while all that goes on, an inner strength creates that type of affirmation. Affirmation, I am going to triumph over all this. And vairagya. Vairagya, dispassion. And all that is not self. You don't want anything of this world illusion, even a needle point. Develop a complete sense of detachment. But that detachment is a matter of understanding internally. If you start physically detaching, that's a different level. You physically detach. If you are in the thorny bushes, detach fast. If mosquitoes are around, detach. Undetach from your daily duties, your integral yoga movement. Integral yoga movement leads you to that understanding that I am not the body, I am not. That understanding is the detachment. Deep down, you are not concerned if the whole world slips away. Thus concludes Sthiti Prakarana, the chapter dealing with the establishment of intuitive vision in Yoga Vasistha. And we will be entering in Upasham Prakarana. Just to remind you, there are 6 prakaranas, 6 books, 6 great sections in the Yoga Vasistha. The first one is called Vairagya Prakarana. That's how first volume. Dispassion. Second one, Mumukshu Prakarana. The qualities that an aspirant must develop. The spiritual aspirant, aspiration is called Mumukshutva. What are the characteristics of that aspirant? Third one is called Uputapatti Prakarana. A spiritual insight comes to your view as if it is born. Next is called Sthiti Prakarana. That spiritual insight now becomes solid. Next one called Upasham Prakarana. That spiritual insight not only is solid, but now it has left your mind free of all distractions, removed all problems. Your mind is enfolded by enlightenment, Upasham. And finally, called Nirvana Prakarana. Even that mind completely melts away. So keeping that plan in view, now we are entering into Upasham Prakarana. Upasham, that is leading you to increasing tranquility, serenity. I will just give a quote from the Upasham Prakarana, few verses for luring you. Anye uchu dvayormadhyagatam nitya masti nasti ti paschayo prakashanam prakashyanam aramanam samupasmahe. We adore that self, which is the light of all lights, which transcends the concepts of is and is not, and which is neutral towards existence and non-existence. In order to understand that, you have to remember what we have been telling. Bhav pratyaya, pratyaya bhav. Pratyaya term is all experiences that you have in and through your mind. All the experiences that you have when you watch a cinema show. While the cinema goes on, that's called pratyaya bhav, projection exists. All your experiences are of pleasure, pain, gain, loss, birth, death. They are all based on mental projections. All this is nothing but the divine self. And in that divine self, all this, the entire projection moves away. Then what is there? Screen. The screen is the reality, where the projection itself becomes absent. Presence of projection, absence of projection. Yasmin sarvam yasya sarvam yata sarvam yasmayidam yena sarvam yadhi sarvam tat satyam samupasmahe. We adore that supreme truth in which everything is, of which everything is, from which everything is, to which everything must return, by which everything is sustained, and which is all that is. Same Purnamada, Purnamidam, all is full, is done in a more extended way. And with this, I'm concluding. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.